What's up, everybody? This is Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets, and I'm here with Glauber Contessoto, 33, also known as Dogecoin Millionaire, who invested over $250,000 in Dogecoin in February at about 4.5 cents per coin. About 2 months later, on April 15th, he says he became a Dogecoin millionaire on paper. Since then, he has refused to sell despite Dogecoin's ups and downs. So we're recording today on Friday, July 30th, 2021, and Dogecoin is trading at roughly 19 to 20 cents. Are you still a Dogecoin millionaire?
So technically speaking, I am currently not a Dogecoin millionaire. I mean, if we're gonna get into technicals, I have about over 4 million Dogecoins. So technically, I'm a millionaire holding millions of Dogecoins, but
Oh,
not in the sense of how people have been referring me to this entire time.
so does that mean that you sold some? Because if you bought 250,000 at around 4 cents, it's still up about 4 or 5x. So that would be over
Well,
$1 million.
I haven't sold any. Robinhood has decided to sell some for me
Oh,
because I actually got margin called. So if like most people, in the article in the first article that I did, or the first article that I went public with, I stated how there was some money there that I had borrowed from Robinhood when I initially had purchased 5 million Dogecoins. So at that time, whenever Dogecoin's at 20 cents, I'm a millionaire, right? Because I had 5 million Dogecoins at that point. But I kept getting margin called roughly a couple weeks after that. And Robinhood force sold about 1 million of my Dogecoins to pay that back. And so yeah, so I'm no longer holding 5 million Dogecoins. I'm currently a little over 4 million Dogecoins right now.
we won't hold their forced sales against you. So remind the audience about your story. I mean, I think they'd love to hear it again. Many of them haven't heard it. How'd you start with crypto and how'd you end up buying and choosing Dogecoin?
Well, it's funny. A lot of people don't know this, but I started with crypto this year, and the very first cryptocurrency that I purchased was Dogecoin. So this is my first, out the gate, my very first cryptocurrency purchase. And I don't have a history. That's the thing. A lot of people think I have a history in the cryptocurrency space. I used to own Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything of that nature, but I have literally never, I never purchased any crypto up until this year.
So why Dogecoin? Because it's pretty bold to, if you have no history, obviously, in the market, to just say, I'm taking everything I got and I'm buying this dog meme and I'm in,
Yeah.
right? So why?
So it was a number of things. I always like to break it down into three different categories. The very first one is is just looking at the charts and looking at the trends, and seeing the history of the crypto. When I first sparked my interest, I was like, okay, cool, let me look into this, and let me see exactly what this is all about. Like, is this a brand new cryptocurrency? Did this just come out recently? Is it what they call a rug pull? Is it a pump and dump? Is it one of these brand new, poo poo dookie coins, which is what I like to call them? So after I looked into it, and I started going through the graphs. I'm like, oh wow, this came out in 2013. Like, this has been around for 8 years. It stood the test of time. It showed lasting power. There's actually a community that's behind it, and that's been behind it for 8+ years. Before Elon Musk came along, there were people, buying and selling this thing, and rooting for it the whole time. So I was looking at the graphs, I was looking at the charts. I kind of checked from 2013, 2014, 2015. I was like, okay, it seems like there's an upward trend there. Like, it's never been back to where it was when it first started. There's so many things that made me feel like, okay, this is going upwards. So it was the combination of the fact that it is a meme, and that played a huge role in it as well. It was the most differentiating factor from all the other main cryptos, right? If you look at Bitcoin, you look at Ethereum, you look at Cardano, XRP, like all these cryptos have such a futuristic feel to them, where they're trying to change the world, or they're trying to be revolutionary in a way, and super technologically advanced. You know what I mean? And when it comes to Dogecoin, it doesn't want to do any of those things. It's literally the opposite. It's like, hey guys, let's just have some fun. And here's a funny dog on a meme, man. It's a currency, also cryptocurrency. You know what I'm saying? So there was this novelty to it. There was this aspect of it that I feel like people embraced it, because it wasn't trying to do too much. And it was almost like, the way I look at it, I say this all the time. I say that memes are the language of the millennials, and memes are the language of the Gen Zers, and this is just the way we communicate. So now this is the first time that you have a meme paired with the cryptocurrency, and now we can buy and sell with this thing that we would normally share anyway for free. Memes, I see memes every single day. I share them all the time. This is just the way we communicate. This is a part of our culture, and it's deeply rooted. And this is the first time we have a cryptocurrency paired with that, and it's the OG meme, if anything. So it's paying an ode to every meme you see every single day on the internet. And that would be the second aspect of it. And the third component is Elon Musk. So the fact that he's the richest man in the world, and this guy has come out and decided to support this cryptocurrency specifically, what was a huge factor for me as well, because it's like, okay, if he doesn't know personally how to make this thing better, faster, more advanced, he knows somebody that can do it,
Sure.
and he has the money to put it behind the project, and actually, make this thing into a legitimate future cryptocurrency that we use on a daily basis. So those three factors really played a huge role for me.
For me, I got into crypto in 2016. And of course, like, it was Bitcoin first, and then I touched Ethereum. But Doge was actually what made me passionate about cryptocurrency back then, because you had these predictable cycles where you would buy it, it would pump like crazy 10, 15 times, come all the way back down, and you could do it
Yeah.
again. And I happened to time the first one of those and made like 12 times my money the first time. Of course, I was trading it against Bitcoin. But so I often tell the story that if I had just held Doge that entire time, I probably would have had like 40 or $50 million worth, because
At
back then
that
it was
time, at that time, how much
fractions of a
did you
penny.
buy?
Oh, it was fractions of a penny. So you could own 10 million, 20, 30, 40 million of them easy, right? And it went to 70 cents at the top, over 70 cents. So I think there's a lot of people, almost anyone who's been in crypto a long time, probably touched Doge at some point for the exact same reasons, minus Elon Musk, that you talked about. Right? We all thought it was funny. It was predictable. It was basically free money. It was the original OG meme, like you said. So, like,
Yeah.
I think we all have some regret. Although, at no point, if you did it so many times, would you have ever thought it would even be above a penny, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
just,
I mean, honestly, when like I said, when I got into it, um, like I just found out about it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I get so upset, because I'm like, why did I just find out about this? Like if I had found out about it last year, I'm positive that I would have put, more money into it, or wouldn't have been able to get more Dogecoins. But also, like you said, I wouldn't have known its potential. Like the
right.
reason why I decided to really look into it in the first place was at the end of January, January 27th, 28th, I believe. When it went from a penny to 8 cents in a single day. Like, if
Yeah.
that wasn't a wake-up call to anybody who was holding Dogecoin at some point, waking up, seeing that, you know what I mean? Being like, wow, it went from a penny to 8 cents. If that wasn't a wake-up call for you to, like, okay, let me double check everything that I've known about Dogecoin to see if, like, maybe I should put in a little bit more money.
Yeah, that all makes perfect sense. But I still want to drill down to why. Okay, you explained why you loved it, why you were
Yeah,
interested in it. All of that makes sense. But you took all your money and put it in.
yeah.
It's not like you were like, I'm gonna hold 20,000 in some bonds and
Yeah, yeah,
20,000 in
yeah.
some stocks and whatever. You put it all into Doge. I mean, what made you say my entire life savings? Because you had to understand that there was also the risk that it.
Of course, and I didn't wake up. the day that I found out about Dogecoin and go all in. You know what I mean? Like this was a calculated risk that I took. So like I said, the very first time I even found out about Dogecoin, I wasn't even looking for Dogecoin. You know what I mean? Like I was on the Wall Street Bets subreddit, just scrolling down the subreddit, and I saw a post that somebody took from Twitter and put it on the subreddit that said, "Has Dogecoin ever been to $1?" And so reading that, I was like, Dogecoin. I feel like I heard this before. You know what I mean? I feel like somebody must have mentioned it. Like what the hell is this thing? So I didn't even know what it was. So then I found out it was a crypto, and then I found out I could buy it on Robinhood. And mind you, I'm on Robinhood already because I had purchased GameStop. I had
Okay, so
lost
you
a lot of money on GameStop because of the shenanigans and because Robinhood decided to disable the buy button. I put in 20,000 on GameStop. I lost half of that, because of the whole situation. I also had bought AMC. I bought the other meme stocks and I lost a lot of money. This is actually part of the reason why I took out money on margin, is because at the time, in the beginning of this year, I had, of my own personal money, I had saved up $130,000 in the last 2-3 years, right? I got my first job, my first salary job. I started saving up every single day, like living as frugally as possible. I tell people this all the time. So I saved up out of my personal money $130,000. So from that
crazy.
money, I started investing in the stock market in 2019. The very first stock I purchased was Tesla. And I started going all in on Tesla without realizing that's what I was doing. I believed in it so much that all of my, extra income coming in every month, I was putting it into Tesla. So went from Tesla to Uber. I started buying Uber stocks. I started buying Revolve stocks. I started buying Carnival Cruise Lines. When the pandemic hit, I started buying all these different stocks. And so in the beginning of this year, I had $250,000 of my own personal money.
You
So,
killed
well,
it.
I had my 130,000 of my own personal money. I flipped that in the stock market to $250,000 in a year or two. So that was incredible to me. I was like, oh wow, I'm doing pretty well, right? So out of the $250,000 in the portfolio, in my stock market portfolio, I bought GameStop. I put 20,000 in GameStop. I put 5,000 AMC, 5,000 in BlackBerry, and Bed Bath and Beyond. Like I hit up all of the meme stocks, right? I lost about 50 grand total putting it in the meme stocks once Robinhood decided to disable the buy button. So I go from $250,000 to $200,000, right? So when I buy in a Dogecoin, I get frustrated because I wanted to buy in $250,000. I only had 200, and then I realized I could buy on margin, so I borrowed 50 grand from Robinhood. So I ended up putting in 250,000, except this time it was $50,000 borrowed money. But like I said, the first time I found out about Dogecoin, I found it on Robinhood. I was like, wow, I can buy this on Robinhood, right? I still have all my money invested in the stocks. Nothing's changed, right? I realized that I have a buying power. And if you don't know what buying power is, on Robinhood, the buying power is the extra money that you have sitting in your account that you can use for any stocks. It's not wrapped up in any stocks, right? So I had about $40 in buying power, right? Just so happens. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me put these $40 into the Dogecoin just to see what happens, just for shits and giggles, and see what it does, right? I put in the $40 into Dogecoin at about a penny. This was 1 cent. This was in January 27th at 10 p.m., right? The very next day, I see that $40 go from 40 to 60 to 80 to 100 to 150, 200, 250, 300. It goes over $300 in a matter of hours. And
8x
I'm
in a
like,
day.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I've been in the stock market for 2 years. I've never seen this happen in the whole time that I've been in. You know what I mean? Like for it to do a jump from a penny to 8 cents and my $40 go to over $300, this is something that I have to be paying attention to because I don't know what the hell this is, but the next time that this happens, I'm going to be all in. So it took that to happen, right? So as soon as that happened, I stopped everything I was doing. I start looking into Dogecoin 24/7. What is Dogecoin? When did it start? Let me look at the graphs. Let me look, you know what I mean? Let me study the trends. Let me see where it's going. Let me see, has it ever done this before? Did it go back to zero ever? You know what I mean? Like I'm doing like 24/7 looking into Dogecoin, and then I start tracking it on a daily basis. So it took me a whole week before I decided to go all in. So every single day after that day, from morning to nighttime, I got my phone glued to my hand and I'm staring at the screen the entire day. Like, I have screenshots of the screen time on my phone saying, like, throughout that day, you spent 20 hours on Robinhood, because that's how long I was looking at my phone. And I'm looking at the graph and I'm seeing the dot, and I'm seeing it go up and go down, up and down. And I study it. And every single night around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., when after it's done doing its whole, like, everything throughout the day, it's going crazy. It's unpredictable. It typically dies down and it goes dormant for about 4 to 5 to maybe 6 hours every single night. So the first time it did this, it went to 8 cents, right? It dropped all the way down to 2 cents. And it bottomed out at 0.022 at 12 o'clock noon, maybe the day after or the day after that. It bottomed out completely. Then it jumped back to 0.027, 0.028. And then it stayed at 0.027, 0.028 for about 5 hours straight. And then I was like, okay, I was watching this the whole day. It's never done this. It just completely, it pretty much flatlined for like 5 hours. Like, why is it doing this? Is this a floor? Is this what they call a floor? Is it going to go under this? I don't think so. Let me just put some money in. I put in 20,000. The next day I wake up, that 20,000 turns to 50,000 because it shot up to like 4 or 5 cents, right? So the whole day it's doing its thing. And at nighttime, it comes back down. It goes dormant again for another 5 hours. But this time it didn't go back to what it was at 0.027, 0.028. This time it's at 0.033, 0.034.
Higher low. Made a higher low.
For 5 hours. There you go. So I'm like, okay, it's never going back to 2. It's never going back to 1. Let me put in more money. I put in another 20,000. The next day it shoots up. I make another 50 grand. So I'm like, all right, then I track it down to 4 cents, right? This time it doesn't drop to 3, it drops to 4. So I'm like, all right, it's never going back to 1, never going back to 2, never going back to 3. Now it's at 4. And then here's the crazy part. So I do this for days, right? For maybe 3 or 4 days straight. And I'm like, I'm getting a pretty good sense of like the patterns, the behavior of the Dogecoin. And so I'm like, all right, cool. This, I'm gonna wait one more day and then I'm gonna put in everything I have, right? So the day that I'm supposed to put in everything I have, I currently owned at that time, I was currently holding Dogecoin at 0.029. I had about $100,000 in a Dogecoin at 0.029, right? I have been tracking it for days now. But the day before that, I had lost 20 grand because I wanted to get it at 0.029 and it was at 0.033. So that dropped down. I lost 20 grand and I sold it all and bought it back in because I wanted it at the cheaper price, right? So that day it shot back up to like 5 or 6 cents. So I was like, wow, I can get my 20 grand back that I lost yesterday plus an extra 5 grand. And then I'll just wait until nighttime when it goes dormant and then I'll go all in. That was my thought process, right? So I sell it all during the day. I get my 20 grand back from the day before. I get an extra 5 grand back and I'm just waiting until nighttime. Well, as soon as it starts going into nighttime and Dogecoin starts dropping down again, like it's been doing for the past 3-4 days, I had been tracking it. Elon decides to tweet, and he doesn't just tweet one time. He tweets times. It was a ton of tweets, and Dogecoin shoots up, right? And I start freaking out because I'm like, I'm expecting it to do the 1 penny to 8 cents again at some point, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. And I knew it was time sensitive. So when Elon starts tweeting about it, it shoots up to like 6, 7 cents or something. And I'm like, is this it? Is this that one? Is this what this is about to happen? And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. It's not organic. This is because of a tweet. I'm like super conflicted at this point because I'm like, I don't want to miss out if this is what it is. And if it's not, then what am I doing? So I'm putting money in, I'm taking money out, putting money in, taking money out. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. So when it decides to go back down, it takes about a day to cool off, right? Then it drops back down to about 4.5 cents. And I'm like, all right,
that's it.
This is it. This is it. Everything I've been researching was right. It hasn't dropped back down to 3 cents or 2 or 1. Elon's behind it completely now, even though even though it kind of screwed me over, but like now this is the sign that I wanted, right? So that was when I decided to sell off all of my stocks, everything I got, maxed out 2 credit cards, called my mom, called my friends, borrowed some money, and went completely all into Dogecoin at 4.5 cents. And I got 5 million coins at that point, and it was about $250,000. And in my mind, I was like, look, I'm gonna be a millionaire at some point. It can take 6 months, it could take a year, it could take 2 years. I don't care. But whatever this play is, this is better than any move in the stock market that I've done in the past few years. And I'm all in. It just so happened that I became a millionaire in 69 days instead of 6 months, instead of a year. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was in it for the long haul from the beginning. That's why people telling me now, they're like, oh, you should have sold that at the top at 75 cents. You should have sold that $3 million. I wasn't even expecting it to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I'm as bullish as I am on Dogecoin, and I believe in it as much as I do, if Dogecoin superseded my expectations, if it exceeded my expectations of what it could do, how much more is this than I even realize in my own brain? You see what I'm saying? Like,
So you think it'll do it again?
I'm holding tight now.
Right. So do you have any exit strategy?
I do.
What gets you out?
When I first started, the plan was, like I said, I'm in it for the long haul, right? So when I first started, I was like, okay, no matter what happens in the short term, I'm gonna hold on to Dogecoin for at least 1 full year.
Well, that's huge for
that,
long-term capital gains and for short-term capital gains anyways. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. That was the whole point of that. I was like, instead of me paying 40% taxes and taking it out within a few months, I'm going to wait a year. It'll go from 40% to 15%. And I'm pretty sure that Dogecoin is going to be a lot higher than it is right now with me buying it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The graphs show that trend. So it's a year, or I put some ridiculous number. I was like, if I hit 10 million, you know what I mean, within a year, and Dogecoin goes to $2.50, and I make $10 million, sure, I'll take half of it out, or I'll take 10% of it out, or what, I'll take money out, you know, so I can live life or whatever.
Is there an exit strategy if it goes down?
There isn't. The strategy is hold it long term. So even if for the next year, but this is my thing. So I'm taking out 10% no matter what happens in a year. So in my mind, I feel like Dogecoin could easily go back to 25 cents in a year.
Sure.
Right? We're sitting at 20 cents right now. It's not hard to think in a year.
That could happen in a day. Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. So at 25 cents, I'm a millionaire. You know what I mean? At 50 cents, I have 2 million, right? So wherever I'm at in a year from now, I'll be able to take out 10% and still have a substantial amount of Dogecoin in there.
That makes perfect sense. So do you view yourself now as sort of an unofficial ambassador for the Doge community?
I never expected this, bro. Like when I first got into this whole thing, it was to make some money. You know, I wanted to make some money. And then it goes from, oh, I want to make some money, to I'm doing podcasts like this one. You know what I mean? I'm on all the most popular finance YouTubers channels. I'm doing CNBC. I'm doing the New York Times. I'm over here in the CNN in Brazil. I'm in a Japanese article. I'm in Korea. I'm in Africa. Like this
crazy.
Has like taken over everything without the slightest. Like, I had no idea this would happen.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And to me, like, the story that maybe other people don't grapple onto. It's fun to talk about the story of you becoming a millionaire and going all in on Doge. But to me, it's that you were responsible with your money for 2 years, saved $130,000 effectively on your first job, and flipped that to almost $3-4 million.
Yeah.
So even if it came down to 800,000, you're talking about getting a job and turning your salary into presently about $800,000 in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And the thing is this, I feel like I don't even make, I quit my job recently, but I wasn't even making that much money. Like for example, so Remember I told you this was my first like real job?
Yeah,
Every job I had before this was Subway, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. Like I'm working hourly for my whole life has been just hourly wages, right? I never got to finish college. I never really got anything like any corporate job or anything like that, throughout my life. And so this was in 2018 was the first year that I finally had an actual salary, but I had an entry level position. So my very first year, I made $36,000.
right,
So I made $36,000. That's an average salary that like most Americans can
sure,
relate to. That okay, I make 30 grand or 40 grand or 45, whatever. Like, but I made $36,000 my first year. I busted my ass. I worked so hard that at the end of that year, the same entry level position that I was in, which was editing videos, I started running the video department. So in 2019, I go from 36 grand to 45 grand salary. In 2020, I go from 45 grand to 60 grand salary. So I'm busting my ass for 3 years at work, and every single dollar that doesn't go to food, gas, or bills, I'm putting it in the stock market.
right.
So
Tesla. Yeah,
not to mention that's my main job. I'm also working nighttime gigs, random gigs. I'm in LA. I'm doing red carpet events. I'm shooting videos for other YouTubers, editing videos for them. I'm doing photo shoots. I'm doing events. I'm doing recap videos. I'm working weekends. I'm working nights. So like I have my main salary job, but I'm also busting my ass on the side to make as much money as possible. And in 2 years' time, I save $130,000. That means anybody can do it. And I feel like people look at me like, okay, he kind of figured something out. Like he cracked the code in some way. And that could be me if I play my cards right.
yeah. You cracked the code. You didn't spend beyond your means. You saved and you
Yeah,
invested and you turned it into something. So to me, like, I don't know if that's the story people tell, but listening to your story, that's the story I hear. You know what I
man.
mean?
People,
And
people
and I,
the
and I
thing is
think
this,
it's
people don't
really
want to.
impressive.
People focus on the Dogecoin thing, and they love to say I'm some lucky gambler that walked into a casino and threw all my shit on red or black or whatever and walked out with a bag. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to focus on, okay, for what about for the last 2-3 years that I've been busting my ass and saving every dollar that I can afford. I drive a beat up 2004 Toyota Corolla, busted. The side mirror is broken off. It's got glue hanging out the side. The AC doesn't work. The windows aren't even automatic. It's manual windows. I got to crank that thing up and down. And I had $250,000 in the bank. I could have easily took out money and bought a brand new car, but that's
Sure.
not important to me. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
I
people
love
don't
it.
realize that. That's why everybody wants to say I got lucky, and then people want to discredit my whole situation, and because they look at it and they're like, something's off about this guy, because if I had $250,000 in the bank, I would have bought a brand new car.
Right.
But I'm
It's
not like
jealousy.
you,
It's called jealousy. That's called jealousy. So it's cool.
man.
But so I'm curious, man. I know we're up against it with time. What are your expectations for Doge? Best case scenario, how high do you think it can go in the future?
Best case scenario, when Dogecoin was sitting at about 75 cents, I saw $2 Dogecoin by the end of the year, right? I was like easily $2 by the end of the year, no problems. Now that it's been sitting at about 20 cents, which is a great place. People don't realize that. Dogecoin at 20 cents is fucking amazing,
It
because
is.
the beginning in January it was at a penny or less than a penny.
Yeah.
Like it's sitting up higher than Bitcoin or Ethereum throughout the year. Like if you look at
Yeah.
it, right?
Right.
So currently where it's sitting at, I see Dogecoin potentially hitting $1 by the end of the year. I'm, that's not too far off.
Cool. Dude, I appreciate this. Thank you. It's a great story. And I really hope that people do focus on that aspect of it and, the skill and not the luck. Because
Yeah,
I think
man.
it's incredible that you had that much conviction to save the money. Whatever you did with it and Dogecoin and the gambling and casino afterwards, the story of how you got there to me is really impactful. So I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yeah. No, of course, man. And it's funny too, because like people like to say, oh, you lost $2 million, instead of looking at it like, oh, you took 130,000 and you're sitting at 900,000 right now. That's still a feat in
Yeah.
itself. You know what I mean?
To me,
Like,
you took nothing. To me, you took nothing to
true,
900,000. So yeah, very
true.
impressive, man. Thanks once again. I know everybody's gonna love hearing this story.
For sure, man. And then check out my Dogecoin in the back.
I love it. I love that dollar bill. It's better than the real one.